Welcome. This is Bitcoin or No Coin. My name is Dan Maciel, and I'm here with Will Phillips. We're going to talk about Bitcoin and a little bit about the economics of it and why we got in. Will, want to start off and say when we got invested in Bitcoin?
I was in 2017, late summer 2017, right after the Bitcoin Cash fork in August, and been always looking for what's the best speculative, what's the best investment and opportunity that we could get into, and just the price along. We first got in for the speculative investment on the price, and now we're in for both speculative and the actual value investment, value proposal. We think 2017 was the value proposition, and hopefully by the end of 2018, maybe, or into 2019, will be the value proposition, price versus value proposition, 2017 and 2019. But yeah, we got in after the fork. We rode it from 2 to 20, and we learned a lot, and it was a great lesson. You got to just experience it going through the bear market. Helped us out. We spent a lot of time learning on what it actually is, the economics of it, importance of it. What do you think it could do in the future? And just like the long-term investment, we're in it for the long run.
Yeah, even before Bitcoin, how long were you talking about gold and silver? We were getting on Robinhood,
Yeah.
we were talking about the dollar a little bit. We knew that the dollar was, going to shit. It's overinflated, and talk a little more about that and why we started getting into alternate investments in general.
Just saving your cash, saving cash in a bank. I like to explain it. What would you rather have, savings with depreciation or savings with appreciation? It's simple. We'd rather be in an appreciative asset. And if you're ever since when Nixon took us off the gold standard, the dollar's been inflating, and so it's devaluing, and it averages 2 to 3% inflation a year. So about every 20 years, you're likely to lose half the value of your money. And then when you could just ask your parents if they were born in like the 50s, late 50s, you could say, what was your starting salary coming out of college? And it was anywhere from 9 to 15K. And so that was in the beginning of the 80s, and then 2000s it became 25 to 30, 20 to 30K, and now it's 40 to 50K. And so if you're looking at retiring or just any long-term investment in cash, you either have to hedge or beat 2 to 3% a year to hold the value that you had, because you would have to constantly work more and more to earn more and more dollars every day to hold your value.
Yeah, and then you had talked about Bitcoin for about a year. We'd heard about it and talked about it, and I was like, you were nuts. And then we finally decided to invest back in, like you said, was it September? That's the first time I bought in.
Yeah, we bought in. It was like was it 28 or 3,200?
Yeah.
And yeah, we made a lot of investments in altcoins, but our main goal was to earn more Bitcoin. I think we still held a good amount of Bitcoin and rode just the rise in Bitcoin. But then if Bitcoin does 20, 30%, being in altcoins, you're likely to do double, 60%, anything that Bitcoin usually does, because the volume's so low and the market cap, they're all so low that big buy-ins, large positions can easily cause major swings in the prices and markets.
And I suppose you should dive into why Bitcoin is sound money. Talk about the features of Bitcoin. Why is it the perfect investment? The economics of it.
So if you know most of the value of gold, you understand gold and why it's important, why it's sound money, why it's hard money. We like gold, but gold doesn't really. Just looking at the price, it doesn't really hasn't really moved. You could debate whether it's being suppressed or not, but the gold's going to do well when usually the economy or the dollar value does bad. So it's the reciprocal. And unlike Bitcoin, similar to we think most of the features and the value, the fundamentals of gold, but we think it could do much more and better, because not only can Bitcoin do well when the dollar does bad, or not even the dollar or any other country's currency does bad. The Bitcoin can also do well when the dollar and other currencies do well at the same time. So it's a hedge, but you could even make out on both ends. But you go.
Talk about the game plan. The game plan is save up, accumulate as much Bitcoin as we can for the halving.
Yeah. So like gold, it's scarce, and it becomes it's harder to increase the supply supposedly declines of gold. And but you have Bitcoin, you have a supply, and not only is it scarce, but it's limited. We know what the supply will be tomorrow, in 20 days, and 15 days, and a year, and 10 years. We'll know the supply, and that's immutable. So that's what's important about the supply can't be affected. And gold, holding a large quantity of gold can be very expensive, but it causes centralization. And you have to have someone watching, whether it's 100 billion worth of gold. It can be high expense, and where the word is extensible, where gold can be. It's hard to transmit value over distances, and it's expensive to upkeep. When cash, it can easily be distributed, sent, value transfer can be sent because it's all digitized, but then it can be also expensive to upkeep. And Bitcoin, it's extensible, where it could be the value can you could break down the value, and it can be sent anywhere in the world, and trustless, and it's completely verifiable. And so, like, if you're talking about settlement, where wherever I send it to that address, it's gonna settle in that address, like right in then. It's not gonna pend and go through an intermediary, and then it's gonna settle. Okay, this is in your account. It takes time, whether it's the next day, 2 week, month, when like banks settle. With Bitcoin, it settles right away, and that just has a lot of value right there. But the other fact is that it's portable. Like, you can migrate 100 million dollars worth of value in just holding in a hardware wallet. You could bring that anywhere. So, and then a big point is that it's also fractionalized, where it'd be very tough to fractionalize gold and to use as a currency at the same time. And with Bitcoin, it's fractionalized, it's broken down to 100 million Satoshis unit value. So that's how it's set up. So it could be dealt with such low quantities.
And since you said hardware wallet, tell everybody about security. Tell everyone how to true ownership of your money, monetary sovereignty.
I just wanted to add real quick too. I forgot. So the supply, that there's 21 million. Yes, it's immutable. That's not going to change. And it becomes harder and harder to mine, because difficulty in the hash rate goes up as more miners come on to mine that coin, to solve that math problem. And every 10 minutes you get a new block posted to the blockchain. So it's like a new set of accounting posted to the ledger of the transactions. And not that can't change either. So every 10 minutes, no matter what, you're going to get a new block posted to the blockchain. And every 4 years, the economics of it is every 4 years that the supply that gets released into circulation, rewarded to the miners, is that number halves every 4 years. So right now there's 12 and a half Bitcoins that get released to the miners as reward every 10 minutes. And then it'll be 6.25 in 2020. And not only it's going to have, but there's going to be 90 supply. It will be in existence by 2020. 90% of the supply. So you're talking about dealing with such a limited amount of supply if you want to do anything with it. These large institutions have to, if they want to do ETFs, whether it's deliverable, if they want to do futures, whether it's deliverable, they have to hold the underlying. So you're dealing with such a limited supply, so it can easily push the price.
Let's pause it well.
Okay.